When did Musa alayhi salam hear these words? He heard these words from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu during one of the loneliest periods in his life, when him and his wife were pushed to their physical limits, traveling the earth all by themselves with basic provisions, just enough to keep them alive. Lost for direction, they see a glimmer of light. Musa says to his wife Kuthu, wait here for a moment. Inni anastu naran. I see a glimmer of light, fire. لَعَلِّي آتِيكُم مِّنْهَا بِقَبَسٍ. Perhaps I will bring you a torch of fire from it. أَوْ أَجِدُ عَلَى النَّارِ هُدًى. Or maybe someone will just give us some guidance to help us navigate this terrain. Unbeknown to Musa, however, he was not making his way to a fire. He was being called by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu to stand in the sacred valley of Tuwa, to speak to Malikul Muluk, the King of Kings, the owner of sovereignty and the possessor of all dominion, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. He stands and he hears the voice of Ar-Rahman Jalla Jalaluhu saying to him, Ya Musa, O Musa, Innani ana Allah. It is me, Allah. And now all of a sudden Musa alayhi salam receives closure, answers that he needed all throughout his life. He had suffered, and up until this moment he had no idea why all of this suffering came onto him. He hears these following words documented by the Quran, so you can imagine it and benefit from its treasure. He hears, قَالَ قَدْ أُوتِيتَ سُؤْلَكَ يَا مُوسَى. O Musa, we have responded to your request. وَلَقَدْ مَنَنَّا عَلَيْكَ مَرَّةً أُخْرَى. We have conferred our favor upon you yet again. إِذْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّكَ مَا يُوحَىٰ. When we sent inspiration to your mother, أَنِ اقْذِفِيهِ فِي التَّابُوتِ, saying to your mom, place the baby in the cot. فَاقْذِفِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ, then place the cot in the river. فَلْيُلْقِهِ الْيَمُّ بِالسَّاحِلِ, then the river will take him to the shore. يَأْخُذْهُ عَدُوٌّ لِي وَعَدُوٌّ لَهُ, where an enemy of his and an enemy of mine will take him, the Pharaoh. وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي, and I have cast the garment of love over you. وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي, so that you will be nurtured under my eye. إِذْ تَمْشِي أُخْتُكَ فَتَقُولُ هَلْ أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَىٰ مَنْ يَكْفُلُهُ. Remember when your sister, she followed you and she said to them, shall I not tell you who can take care of this baby? فَرَجَعْنَاكَ إِلَىٰ أُمِّكَ, then we returned you back to your mother. كَيْ تَقَرَّ عَيْنُهَا وَلَا تَحْزَنْ, so that her eye can rest and she would not grieve. وَقَتَلْتَ نَفْسًا, and remember Musa when you killed someone, فَنَجَّيْنَاكَ مِنَ الْغَمِّ, but we saved you from retaliation. وَفَتَنَّاكَ فُتُونًا, and we tested you with severe tests. فَلَبِثْتَ سِنِينَ فِي أَهْلِ مَدْيَنَ, then Musa, you spent many years with the people of Madian. ثُمَّ جِئْتَ عَلَىٰ قَدَرِي يَا مُوسَى, then you came to this place at the decreed time. وَاصْطَنَعْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي, and I have prepared you for myself. So now he understood all of his suffering in his life was not in vain, in waste. It was a preparation for this moment to become a prophet of Allah, and his heart finally settles. Now as a Muslim, when you hear this story, and you have read it before, you ask yourself the question, how can I be a person like Musa, whom Allah prepares by himself to be for himself? I would love to be this person, whom Allah guides and helps and nurtures and supports against enemies and gives answers and gives him security on the Day of Judgment and the highest gardens of Jannah. How can I be a person who is prepared by Allah for Allah? I share with you 5 signs. Signs that your suffering as a Muslim is not going to waste, and your sacrifice will be thanked by Allah Jalla Jalaluh. 5 signs, and we take them from the biography of Musa alayhi salam. Who better? Sign number 1, measure yourself against these 5. You have an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when Allah wants good for a person, He gives him understanding of the religion. Sign number 2, you have a strong commitment to ibadah, worship, in all of its forms. The very first words Musa heard from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu in that sacred valley of Tuwa was, فَاعْبُدْنِي, worship me. وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ, and establish the prayer for my remembrance. That's sign number 2 to measure yourself against. What type of abid, worshipper are you? Become an exemplar worshipper of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. When people are eating and drinking, you are fasting. When people are sleeping at night, you are standing in salah. When people are gossiping and scrolling through their socials, you are busy in the remembrance of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Sign number 3, you have a fearless ability to acknowledge your personal error. There are certain mistakes that we've made in our past that we should have amended 10 years ago. Certain people we should have apologized to 15 years ago. Sign number 4, you have an unbreakable ethic of sabr, patience. Patience with the commandments of Allah. Patience with the prohibitions of Allah. Patience with the qadar, the painful decrees of Allah. Your 5th sign to measure yourself to see whether you are being prepared by Allah to be for Allah is that you have this desire to be of service to others. Musa sees 2 people fighting. He has to involve himself to settle dispute.